Quick one, nothing here is financial advice. It's for entertainment and educational purposes only. Always do your own research or speak to a financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Enjoy the episode and like and subscribe.
GM and welcome to Open and the blockchain ticketing revolution. So in this one, we're going to break down the problems around the current ticketing industry and then the solutions being provided for by Open. These guys formerly Get Protocol. They have a history in the industry going back to 2016. So you may have seen these guys in the last cycle. So pretty unusual here. We have a fully functioning, profitable business on-chain, and we're going to break down the key benefits here. And I'm sure you'll agree that using blockchain to tackle some of the many drawbacks of the current ticketing industry can only be a good thing, as we're going to see a lot more security, transparency over process, and a full end-to-end blockchain experience that's abstracted away by these guys. So the very quick TLDR, Open is trying to ensure that the balance of power lies between the end user and the artist. Artist could be, a football club. It could be an experience. It could actually be a singer, songwriter. And then the fan in that situation, obviously the end consumer of said entertainment. And so they're trying to repair the kind of breakdown between these two main entities here who should be giving and receiving value, but there's just a lot of middlemen, intermediaries currently in the landscape here that need to be removed, and blockchain can help this. So a bit of a market overview here. Anecdotally, what we'll see is that people want to be entertained, and pretty much no matter the economic conditions, bull market, bear market, recession, or in growth, people will always spend to be entertained. I guess that's the be all and end all of life. You want to enjoy yourself. So the global ticketing industry is set to become a $100 billion industry by the year 2030. Hence, they are working in an industry that is going through a boom. But some of the key problems in this industry right now. First and foremost, we overpay for tickets. Scalpers come in and buy. They essentially bot up the sales for tickets. The industry itself is pretty damn archaic, and there's a few incumbents who pretty much have a monopoly over the market, and they're ripe for some disruption. Also, the ticket experience more broadly is kind of meaningless. You don't have any relationship with the ticket anymore. Sometimes you're just getting a PDF copy that you scan at a venue, and then you just delete it from your email folder. And then finally, we have a lot of artists, especially in the early stages of their career, being taken advantage of by large record companies, as an example, who have all the finances and thus hold a lot of the cards. Ticket sellers often become venue owners. They then become financiers, then even becoming promoters. They essentially own the full stack, leaving the artist with very little negotiation room. And of course, that eats away at their profits. So these are some of the key problems. Let's jump into some of the solutions on hand with Open and their framework. So Open offers a full suite, a full tech stack here, utilizing API tooling to ensure that the current vendors, the ticketeers out there, can be onboarded into what they call Web 2.5. which is essentially their approach where they have a lot of Web3 tools in the background. They're issuing on-chain tickets. Each and every ticket is its own unique NFT, ERC 721 standards. This allows for real-time updates around how tickets are being bought, sold, etc. You can also link the ticket directly to a mobile device due to the fact you'll be purchasing through an app. They offer their own suite for this, a full ticketing app, an event dashboard for the vendors to use. They can then monitor a lot of things, have a lot of oversight. They have ticket shops, anti-scalping mechanisms, and even a scanning app. So it is the full stack suite there. Now, a vendor could utilize their current stack and just embed some of these APIs, or they could pretty much white label the suite here that's offered by Open. Now, the first major solution here, you can see highlighted, they allow within their tooling for event organizers to control the secondary market. What does this mean? What is the problem here? Well, the secondary market of almost any ticket out there has been really co-opted by ticket scalpers. I personally have paid $350 for a $50 ticket previously. Now, when you do that, it's often people who are running bots to buy up the supply, almost like you see in crypto. People scalp or snipe the early launches, have a huge amount of supply, and then mark up the price. Now, the kind of value extraction there it's going to that third party. That third party entity is making all the money. It's not the event organizer, it's not the artist, and the fan is losing out. But by using their suite, you can have the secondary market embedded within the app. So all sales would go through said app and not onto any external site. And they can prevent tickets being sold outside of the secondary market. So by embedding the secondary within the app, you remove those external marketplaces, you remove the scalpers from the equation, and there's a better balance of power there. And it's a lot more equitable for everybody involved. If there is a markup on the secondary, you can then use the NFT standard to bake into the metadata that, say, a percentage of the royalty from that. So say the ticket's marked up 25%. At least a proportion of that goes back to the artist. So I think overall that is a very, very smart thing to do, and it shows you some of the issues currently with ticketing can be resolved here. So Open is essentially infrastructure here, but they do have a kind of sister company, or part of their umbrella is Guts Ticketing, one of the biggest Dutch ticketing companies. So they have their tech stack, and then you can see the solutions being used and implemented by themselves successfully in the real world. So this has a load of benefits. As we've already stated, you can bake in at the contract level by using NFT certain parameters, i.e. do you want to add a royalty to the secondary market, or maybe do you want to just cap the ticket price and ensure even if it's sold on secondary, it can only be sold at the stated face value. Very innovative stuff. So what you now have is smart tickets using this NFT technology. You can obviously update the metadata, venue, price, time, location, all those different things. You can remove a lot of ticketing fraud by utilizing their infrastructure, which registers a smartphone mobile number to the actual ticket itself. You then ensure that only valid tickets are being utilized. People aren't screenshotting and forwarding things on and then leaving people at the gates to a venue with an invalid ticket. And by having the secondary market within the app as well, you're allowing people the freedom to sell on if, for example, they can't attend. And this can be done anonymously. Then, of course, there is a full blockchain explorer. So think of Etherscan, but for tickets here. You can see they've already registered 6.4 million on-chain tickets thus far, over 23,000 events, some very big concert halls being used in the likes of the Ziggo Dome, some big events as well. We'll look at a case study in just a moment. And you have transparency, how many have been sold, how many resold, how many scanned, how many checked in, how many invalidated. And if you want to check the Explorer for yourself, you can go and do that and see the kind of life cycle of a ticket. So blockchain transparency being used for a real world use case here. So for a vendor, so someone who's selling tickets, a normal ticketeer, if they want to come and onboard with Open, you can see some of the key benefits and some of the life cycle here. So say you've created an event, but the artist for some reason isn't going to make it on said date, rather than having to reissue a load of new tickets. You know, some people are still on postal, receiving physical copies of tickets in the post. Well, rather than that, you have NFT with its metadata that could just be updated, and maybe you send a courtesy email or a push notification in-app to say, look, this has changed. This, of course, would seem a lot more efficient. Then when a vendor enters the ecosystem, they now have the opportunity to either get on board with the full stack, or what the guys over at Open allow for is people to kind of just ease their way in, have a bit of flexibility, do a bit of hand holding. There's a lot of incumbents out there who won't want to dive straight into Web3 here, but maybe they can do a little bit of running these procedures alongside their current procedures. Maybe 10% of current tickets get sold through one of these applications, and they can try it out for themselves and see how much better the process is. Just trial it on a baby steps approach. You can then show the key benefits to them of having the secondary market embedded within the app to see when things are resold, how much they're resold for, and to ensure there's not huge profit extraction by third parties. You can then see full overview of how many tickets have been scanned in. Were there any invalid tickets? What was the reason for that? Who was checked in? Who's claimed their ticket and attended an event? And with that customer information there, and remember, linked to a mobile phone, you have a real person that you can identify as having used said tickets. And then maybe you can do post-show, post-event, a bit of a perk or benefit to them. Maybe that's a meet and greet, or you offer them access to a private Discord, that kind of stuff. So you can see the artist-fan relationship there could be improved post-event, which currently no one's really capitalizing on. So let's look at the customer point of view here with the Guts app, as this is a real scenario and a real consumer-facing product. First and foremost, looks the same as any other ticketing app. So there's no kind of hurdle to get into this. Web3 in the background abstracted away, but you as the consumer aren't aware that you've got an NFT ticket all on chain. You're just seeing a standard ticketing app. But what they have are these features. You've got a locked QR code. So you don't actually show the QR for the ticket until maybe like a few hours before. That gets unlocked and then it becomes usable. It also rotates periodically as well to ensure that screenshotting it becomes redundant, which is often a way there's ticket fraud out there. Once you've been scanned into the event, then you could also start to release additional content to the user. Maybe there's a bit of a personal message from the artist, maybe some clips post-show get uploaded to the NFT itself. A lot of fan engagement could be done through that. If people want to sell, they can resell in the app, as we saw, secondary market embedded within the application itself. This will be a safe place for you to actually resell. You're not going to have to go through third parties who may take a huge cut. And of course, this would provide additional revenue back to the artist themselves, not to a scalper. And if you think about it, if you were to resell a ticket, that's a NFT that's being sold on chain. But what they've done is worked on abstracting away all those complexities. So even though you would post an on-chain transaction, by selling said tickets, the end user wouldn't have to see any of those things. And as mentioned, ticket is tied to a mobile number, so you know you're getting the real fans attending your events. So as a bit of a case study here, Zandvoort's F1 Dutch Grand Prix took place last year in 2023, and the guys at Open actually provided a key benefit to attendees. So attendees, they would have the GP app, and that would be their ticket into the race. But on top of this, these guys embedded NFTs so that each ticket had an NFT associated with it. So each attendee could then unlock a part of this historic track. So what they did was split all 100,000 coordinates into unique metadata, and then each person could unlock that with their ticket. So if you imagine, this really brought the race to life. People who were attending, they were physically there, then had coordinates of the part of track they own. So you can imagine you would want to go and see it in real life and then compare it versus your NFT you've got on screen. This would create a lot more hype and interest around said events and just overall enhances that race day experience. You've also got a digital collectible as well that you can keep. And what they were doing was uploading racetrack clips, historical pieces that have taken place over the years at that track. I believe it was the 70th or 75th anniversary. And so this just adds even more engagement to the day for the fans. So pre-event, you can get fans to maybe attend meet and greets with this as their access key. Post-event, you then can offer them maybe a discount to the 2024 race. Just a load of things can be built out here by using an NFT kind of pass to enhance the reach and the engagement between the fan and the event. You could also think about sponsorship. That goes on a lot within F1. Imagine Ferrari say, look, we want everyone to be Ferrari maximalists during this event. Let's brand all your NFTs you're dishing out in the Ferrari logo and the Ferrari colors. Well, maybe that opens up a brand new revenue stream for Open or their associates at an event. So if you just link that back to the previous experience, maybe you've had this yourself. You're just receiving a PDF for an event, you just delete it from your email box, or maybe you have received a paper ticket, but there's nothing going on with it. Just imagine what you can do if you embed NFT tech into a ticket. It gives you true memorabilia that you'll be able to keep forever. Now, a real big breakthrough innovation that Open are bringing to the market here, decentralized event financing. So bringing crypto capital and DeFi, so using those innovations to actually change the balance of power here. So as we mentioned earlier, typically you'll get like record labels, as an example, offer predatory terms to new artists. They kind of have them over a barrel. Look, you can't afford to actually host the event, put on production, book the venue, etc. So us with billions on the balance sheet, we'll sort that out for you. We'll take huge cuts. And by the way, you'll be playing at our events for the next 10 years. This, of course, means the artists are in a bad position negotiation-wise. They haven't got the money They're desperate to get success, and so they become the prey. However, with the changes here, if we just explain what's going on, what would happen is an event organizer or an artist could put forward the proposal here. So you have a pool, you create a pool where you want to receive capital. You use the ticket sales as collateral. So you put up the tickets as collateral and you say, look, I want to raise, as an example here, $200,000. This is going to help me book the venue, pay for production, and then we can start marketing these tickets. So pre-event, you're raising funds in the pool. Once the pool has reached the threshold, 200K, then the bookings can take place. And then as the tickets get sold, people within this pool get repaid first from those sales. So in essence, you are crowdfunding the creation of an artist's event, maybe a festival, that kind of thing, using the crypto capital. And we know DeFi has billions at its disposal. And so you can offer real yield to these people by saying, look, there's obviously risk involved here. We're going to give you maybe 5%, 10% interest on the loan that you give, and you should get it back in X number of months. You can also change the parameters, so like the risk parameters. If an event is more high risk, maybe the premiums you need to pay to those depositing in the pool goes to like 10%, 15%. Whereas people who maybe have a track record, because again, this will be on chain, there'll be a reputation. So if someone comes in and starts trailblazing here, they put on numerous successful events back to back, each using this pool method. Well, then you could say, look, these guys have done 4 events. Everything has gone very smoothly. People have been paid their interest. We can start to reduce the fee now, and maybe we'll offer you 4% on the loan. This risk obviously would need to be weighed up if the event doesn't go ahead successfully or they don't sell enough tickets. You, of course, could be on the losing side of this here, having committed funds, but there wasn't enough revenue to pay that back in full. But if this is proven to work, you can see this would be highly innovative in this field. So essentially, you're using real-world assets, i.e. tickets, as collateral with an on-chain inventory to pay for the costs of production. Then with that transparency, you can see as the funds flow in, people are buying tickets on chain. Those funds come in stablecoins and start to repay the individuals who have put forward that loan. You can also program in things such as consequences like tickets becoming unscannable if repayment is not made. And this would therefore likely protect that principal amount from being abused or anything going amiss. So this is obviously a major solution on the horizon here, taking away the power and the greed of the corporations and putting things back in the hands of the artists and maybe the fans who want to actually contribute to events. So Open has its own token. The ticker is OPN. This had the rebrand from Get Protocol back in March of 2024. So fresh new chart, bit of a new lease of life for this one. And this is currently available on numerous markets across Ethereum mainnet, Base, Polygon, and even Solana as well. So we're tapping into a load of different venues and chains for their liquidity. This, of course, is a small cap cryptocurrency. So, of course, will come with risks and rewards. So do bear that in mind before investing. But what are the main utilities of this token? Well, it is the fuel on this network. So if vendors want to come and plug and play with Open, to use the tooling, they need to have the OPN token to pay for that. And integrators must use OPN as fuel for each on-chain ticket that is delivered. The price of this is roughly 3 cents in OPN per ticket. So the more tickets that get issued, the more OPN must be bought up either on the open market. All these teams could be invoiced by the guys at Open to pay for this. But essentially OPN is used, think of it as the gas backing up these ticket sales. So OPN backs a ticket. Once a ticket gets scanned, like during events, then it actually gets released from the contracts and goes to, in post-event, 3 locations. The stakers, we'll jump into that in just a second, the DAO, and the ecosystem treasury. So this will provide real yield for stakers. So if you do acquire OPN, you can come here to the staking contract and you'll be given X OPN as your receipt token. Current APY is around 26% there. This of course is real yield because the more events that get put on, the more OPN used as fuel for tickets, and then that circular flow getting released back some proportion to the OPN stakers there. There is a long withdrawal period of 6 months here, but you can just take the 15% haircut straight out the gates and get your tokens back instantly. Staking available on ETH mainnet and Polygon. Definitely a key utility there because this yield is real yield in that it is coming from a genuine business process. Now, additional utilities are governance. They have quite an active DAO. So if you want to vote on proposals or make your own proposals, you'll need some OPN. They've also, within their recent roadmap, said that they're potentially going to launch their own layer 3, the open layer 3. And if that happens, then OPN will be the gas for that network, like ETH is gas on mainnet. So final thoughts on this, they have tackled a real world problem and met that with blockchain solutions. So this is something I'm definitely a champion of. And you can see when you use a ticket, why the heck isn't it an NFT anyway? It just makes a lot of sense. And you can do a lot of things pre-event, during, and post to further engage your fans. I'm also pretty sick and tired of being ripped off on secondary markets for tickets. That does happen way too often to me, so any solution to mitigate against that, very good in my book. Now, Open has a team of around 40 staff members. They can do quite a bit of hand-holding and business development work to onboard more and more vendors into this industry. So this is really an infrastructure play, and they also have the proof in the pudding with Guts, their sister company. So I do think they are in a very good position with their experience to really tackle the big incumbents out there like Live Nation and others. So very excited to see how progress continues with Open. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.